Hey everybody, Matt Bagley here with you. Southern Oregon Sports Talk presented by Medford BMW. It is a Monday, and just like last Monday, I am woefully, ineptly wrong when it comes to the NFL. I want to make amends for that. I'll talk about why I got some picks wrong, who's going to get me proven right this week, and who's going to win the Super Bowl. We'll talk about all that tonight and more, plus two great interviews. Joey Mack, Ducks, everything, play-by-play, plus a radio host and a sideline guy, everything. Joey Mack, he joins me at 4:30, and then talking NFL with Peter Panacea. Peter runs NinerNoise.com. He's been on the show before. It's been a while, though, so we're going to give him a welcome at 5:30 and pick his brain on pro football. I want to start, though, not with the Niners, not with the Ducks. I want to start with Tennessee because I, like a lot of other people, thought the Titans were going to be outmatched Saturday night. I thought there was no way a 6 would beat a 1. Not this one. Not the most dominant Ravens team, the most dominant offense, the most dominant everything that I'd seen in years. And a team that if you ask any X's and O's geek, a high school football coach, college football coach, pro football, film nerd, anybody that watches the plays and diagrams them afterwards and talks about them all week, there was no way Baltimore would lose this game. No way. The Titans proved me wrong, and now I want to prove them right. Why is Tennessee winning? Let's take a trip in the time machine. Go back to when the Seahawks drafted Richard Sherman. He was a fifth-round pick because he was too slow, couldn't move his hips fast enough. Teams thought this guy just doesn't have it. Too fat, too big, too slow, right? Well, that's his skill in the NFL. He's big. He's huge. He beats up on wide receivers, and he's crazy smart. Teams didn't factor that in at all. And Richard Sherman's the best corner in football. Now everybody wants Richard Sherman. Now every year in the draft, when there is a big, strong, potentially smart corner, teams talk themselves into thinking this guy's the next Richard Sherman. And they reach and they draft him in the first round and they draft him in the second round when they should be fifth-round picks. Then let's look at Julian Edelman. When the Patriots drafted Julian Edelman, he was a seventh-rounder. He was an afterthought. Too small. I hate to say it, but too white. Not fast enough, not quick enough. And what teams didn't realize is that Julian Edelman runs precise routes. I think he's the best route runner of any receiver in football, which makes him a dominant slot guy, and the Patriots have used that to their advantage. Now, everybody in the NFL, look at what the Raiders did with Hunter Renfrow. Look at the deal the Panthers gave Ben Hogan last offseason. Everyone wants their own Julian Edelman. Everybody. They all want these small little slot guys who would get killed 20 years ago. Too small, too slow, but run great routes. Now apply that to the Titans. Everybody wants defensive backs that can stop the pass. They want Richard Sherman. They want a guy who can shut down your wideout. Everybody wants small, quick little wideouts that can cut and run great routes. They want Julian Edelman. And they want quarterbacks that can air it out. Patrick Mahomes. Look at Deshaun Watson. Look at the Bears trading up for Mitch Trubisky, building a whole team around a spread quarterback who had 1 year of college football. Everybody wants to play that passing way. And what the Titans have done, much like what the Seahawks did 10 years ago with Richard Sherman, much like what the Patriots did with Julian Edelman, they aren't doing what everyone else is doing. They are building their own team by finding value elsewhere. Derrick Henry, second-round pick. I can't believe that. He's 6'3". He's wicked fast. He runs like a truck through the defense. That 3rd and 1 that he took for 70 on Saturday night, that's not even his best run. That's not even his 10th best run, 20th best run. He's got 30 runs that are even better in his career. He's a highlight machine. And that guy was a second-round pick because teams said, he's a running back. We don't value that. They said, he's big. That means he runs slow. We don't value that. Obviously, they don't know what to value. They got it wrong. He was a second-rounder. It's not just him, though. I mean, the guys opening holes for him, teams missed on them, too. I think about their left guard, Roger Saffold, a guy that the Raiders brought in a few years back, and he failed his physical. And Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, put his foot down and said, we are not signing this guy. He can't pass a physical. He can't wear the silver and black. Raiders pass him up. He stays with the Rams. He does the dirty work for years. Everybody talks about Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and Sammy Watkins and Brandon Cooks and all these weapons that the Rams have had the last couple of years. Nobody talks about Roger Saffold. And Roger Saffold takes a deal in free agency last year when we're all gushing over Antonio Brown and talking about all the moves in free agency that the Raiders made and the Niners made, bringing in Emmanuel Sanders and all these guys. Roger Saffold's the best signing of free agency. You didn't hear about it, though. You didn't read about it. You didn't know about it. And now you know about it because the Titans knew it all along. And then Taylor Lewan. This is my favorite example of the Titans finding value when nobody else does. Taylor Lewan should have been a top 5 draft pick. Here's a guy that all he did in college was play left tackle at a premier pressure school, Michigan, where the eyes of the world are upon you, with a pro-style offense run by Jim Harbaugh. And he's got to go in the Big Ten and play T.J. Watt at Wisconsin and play the Bosa brothers at Ohio State. And guess what? Over and over, if you go back and watch the tape, Taylor Lewan owned those guys. He held his own. He did what he had to do to stop those guys. And what did it get Taylor Lewan? Should have been a top 5 pick. He slides to number 11. Should have been a top 5 pick. He goes to number 11. I think Greg Robinson was picked above him in that draft. Guess how many teams Greg Robinson is on now? I think he's on his 5th team in the NFL, 5th contract because he keeps getting cut, re-signed. He's not as good as Taylor Lewan. The Titans have done a great job. Everyone wants to talk about Tannehill and Mariota and the difference there. That's one thing. I don't think it's that much of a difference. Honestly, I think Marcus would be doing equal or better with the same supporting cast. But the real impact, what the Titans have done to win these games, they have built a team by finding value where no one else does. Everyone wants to pass the ball. They've built a monster with the run game. And I don't see it stopping anytime soon. I still think Kansas City wins the Super Bowl. I still like the Chiefs out of the AFC, but I didn't think the Titans could win in Foxborough. They did. I didn't think the Titans would even be close in Baltimore Saturday night, and it turns out the game wasn't close Saturday night. I just got the score wrong. Titans blew them out. I never saw that coming. Neither did you. That's an upset for the ages. If they can do that the last 2 weeks, they can beat the Chiefs. They can beat the Chiefs. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. And Duck Fan, talk about a team building a monster. Your defense just reloaded in a big way. I want to break that down next and tell you what I think about the College Football National Championship tonight. Clemson, LSU. I'll share my pick, but over the break, I want yours. Text me, 541-630-4792, or leave me a voicemail. And my rule, as always, if it's good, I will share it on the air. That means good text, I'll read it. Good voicemail, I'll play it. 541-630-4792. Who wins the national championship tonight? I want your thoughts. Then I'll share mine. Next on Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580, The Game.
have missing, hurting, or broken teeth? We are your solution to get the care you need comfortably. Whether you are putting off regular dental checkups and cleanings or extensive dental work you are needing that would improve your oral health and quality of life, don't sit back and suffer while your dental problems get worse. Premier Care Dental is kind, honest, and gentle, and we offer relaxing sedation dentistry to make getting the care you need comfortable and stress-free. Premier Care Dental works with most insurance companies, and if you don't have insurance, no problem. Premier Care Dental's in-house savings plan is designed to provide greater access to quality dental care at an affordable price. Premier Care Dental's locations are in Medford, Ashland, Grants Pass, and Klamath Falls. We accept same-day appointments, so call us today during normal office hours and get seen today. 541-200-6747. Visit PremierCareDental.com.
Hey hunters, have you registered yet for this year's Sportsman's Warehouse Bucks and Bulls competition? There's no entry fee, and it's not too late to register for rifle and bow, youth, and women-only categories. As a participant of the Bucks and Bulls competition, you'll be eligible to win great prizes and possibly be awarded the biggest buck or bull in the whole area. The first place winner receives a $300 Sportsman's Warehouse gift card. The second place winner receives a $200 Sportsman's Warehouse gift card, and the third place winner receives a $100 Sportsman's Warehouse gift card. For the youth category, the first place winner takes home a $350 Sportsman's Warehouse gift card. Put it on the calendar. Sportsman's Warehouse Bucks and Bulls event, Saturday, January 25th. This is a fun event for the whole family with games and prizes as Sportsman's Warehouse awards the winners of this year's Bucks and Bulls competition. Sportsman's Warehouse. Take it outside.
The buzzer beater. The upset no one sees coming. The champagne shower, 100 seasons in the making. Just when you think sports can't get any more exciting, along comes Oregon Lottery Scoreboard. Now wager on pro sports, right from your smartphone. Pick your sport, your team, and your style of bet. Wager anytime, anywhere. Download the Scoreboard app today. Lottery games are based on chance and should be played for entertainment only, not investment purposes.
Stay up late with Amy Lawrence.
The way that Russell Wilson brings so much wisdom and experience into the game, the fact that he's a Super Bowl winner and he's been on that stage more than once. And so all of that wrapped into this one quarterback. We're not talking about a guy who is going to be thrown off or flummoxed by what defenses throw at him.
11 at night, overnight on 96.1, 580 The Game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Ducks sideline guy, Duck Insider host, and Ducks basketball play-by-play voice, Joey Mack, joining me in about 15 minutes right here on The Game. In the meantime, let's break down this Oregon bombshell today. Normally, when juniors in college have a press conference, it means one thing, right? The season just ended, and they send out a release. We want to have a press conference on Monday. That says we're declaring for the NFL draft. We're done. Goodbye, Oregon. We love you, right? Well, different story today. Still happened. All these juniors say we want a press conference. But the difference is all these juniors are coming back. So now the Ducks have completely reloaded. Thomas Graham, he's going to stay. Diamador Lenore, he stays. So you keep your two starting corners. Jordan Scott, a.k.a. Fat Mac, a monster in the middle, he's going to stay. And Austin Faliu's going to stay. So the Ducks keep two starters on the interior. And they keep both of their corners, who I think are the best corners in the Pac-12. Those guys would have been day 2, second round or third round picks. That's nothing to scoff at. That is amazing that they have decided to stay at Oregon. And what it tells me, there's all this talk about who the next play caller is going to be for the Ducks. And I teased it on today's show. I thought they would name the guy by now. I thought they would already have that thing lapped up. that it would be either the Tulane guy, Will Hall. I've heard that name a lot. Or Jed Fish, who's with the Rams. And there's fans on both sides. There's still people that want Joe Moorhead. We'll talk about that later. But all of this conversation about who should be the offensive coordinator, really, if you think about it, with the Ducks bringing the band back together today, the defensive coordinator is way more important. That means right now, get on the private jet, Uncle Phil, and fly down to Eugene and make sure that Andy Avalos gets a hefty raise. That guy shouldn't go anywhere. I've said for a week now, ever since Mike Leach left Washington State, Andy Avalos should be a head coach this offseason. He needs to get an offer. Now, Washington State's the only school looking. I still think he's good enough. I think Oregon's got to lock him in, secure him for 2020, and build around all these studs coming back. Because that defense, that's going to be scary good. Best defense in the Pac-12 today with 4 of those guys ignoring the draft and staying in school. 541-630-4792. Let's stay with college football because I asked you for your national championship pick. We're an hour away from the kickoff. Dave texts in 541-630-4792, and Dave says Clemson. And the reasoning is, let me pull this up. He was talking about experience, and it was 2 texts because he said, hey, the Packers have a shot. Don't count out Green Bay. I was saying the Niners. I've been picking the Niners all day. Don't count out Green Bay. I think they've been there, done that, whereas the Niners don't have much playoff experience. I think it should be a good game. I'm going 24-20 Packers. That's what Dave texted me. He followed up with national championship tonight is going to be an upset for a similar reason. Clemson will win. They've been there, done that. Now let's talk about that because I've said for a month that's one of the reasons why I'm picking Clemson. I like their experience, and I think that experience really matters in these moments. I think anybody, no matter what they do, when you were in school, the day before a big test, if you were nervous, you didn't sleep well. Or maybe you were nervous, you didn't eat well. You were nervous, you were skittish, you didn't get out of bed at the right time, and you get there late. That has an impact on your performance. Nerves matter. And if you've been there before, if it's just another game, because you've already done this 8 times or 10 times or however many times Clemson has gone through the gauntlet that is the college football playoff, then you don't get those nerves. And you have an edge on the players that do. I think that's pivotal for Clemson. This game isn't bigger than last year when they beat Alabama. It's not bigger than the year Deshaun carried them over Bama. It's not bigger than the year Bama edged them in another close one. It's just another game. I think that's an edge for Clemson tonight. And I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. If you text me and it's good, I'll read it on the air. Appreciate that text from Dave. You can also send me a voicemail, 541-630-4792. Another angle to consider for that game, it's the college football playoff, right? And there's all these factors. LSU has some great corners. LSU has some great field goal kickers and special teams guys and defensive linemen and all this stuff. Forget about all that. Let's simplify the game. 2 questions. Who has the better coach? Dabo Swinney, who has won 2 national championships, been to 3 national championships, or Ed Orgeron? Great guy, doing a good job at LSU, best team in the country this year, never been to a national championship game as a head coach. Never won big-time games at this level of college football. Who's the better coach? I'm going with Dabo. I'm going with the guy that's been there, done that. I'm going with the guy that already has the hardware in the trophy case. That's Dabo Swinney. That's the first question. Better coach, Dabo, Clemson. Second question, if we really just simplify things and ask these things, I think it makes it a lot easier. Who's the better quarterback? Sure, Joe Burrow is good. Joe Burrow, I think, is the number one overall pick this year, but that has more to do with the Bengals than anything else. He's an Ohio kid. Joe Tate, friend of the station, he was on the show last week. He said it this way: they can't not pick Burrow. They can't get away if they pass on Burrow because he's 30 minutes away. He grew up a Cincinnati Bengal diehard fan. So did his parents. So did his friends. So do his neighbors. If the Bengals pass up on Joe Burrow, there will be thousands of people rioting in the streets of Cincinnati. He's going to be the number one overall pick, but he's not the best quarterback tonight. That's Trevor Lawrence. Guy looked like Joe Montana last year. Guy looks like Sunshine from Remember the Titans. He just has a swagger to him. He has a way about him. And I know this year hasn't been the best statistically. That didn't matter Saturday with Ryan Tannehill, did it? Right? Third down, didn't matter with Aaron Rodgers last night either. He's had a terrible year statistically. But third down, crunch time, when you need a play, I used to trust Cool Joe, right? Well, this is Cool Trevor, the next generation of that. Guy in his face, no problem. Defense trying to trick him, not quite. Trevor Lawrence will find a way. I think Clemson is the better quarterback. I think Clemson is the better coach, and I think Clemson wins. I know they're the underdog. I know there's a lot of money pouring in on LSU, but if you just simplify things, better coach, better quarterback, the answer is Clemson. 541-630-4792. Let's revisit that later. And also, I want Joey Mack's thoughts on this. Ducks sideline guy. He's as plugged in on college football as anybody from Eugene. Also, what's next for the biggest surprise from yesterday? A Texan team that went up 24-0. A Texan team that had Chiefs fans and football fans stunned in that first half. What's next for them? I've got thoughts. I am fascinated by what they're going to do, and I think the whole world is wide open to them. That said, I think they'll waste their opportunity. Want to know more? Want to learn about this? See what I'm thinking? See how I'm feeling? I'll talk about that at the end of the hour. What can the Texans do to win next season's Super Bowl? I think they got the best shot, but they got to take it. They can't waste it. I'll break it down later. Next, I got Joey Mack, Ducks sideline guy, play-by-play, Duck Insider host, yada, yada, yada. He's on here every week. You know who he is. Talking Ducks next with Joey Mack on 96.1, 580 The Game. This is Southern Oregon Sports Talk presented by Medford BMW on 96.1, 580 The Game.
Hi, I'm Amy. My husband Buddy and I own Rogue Automotive. For over a decade, we've been repairing vehicles in the Rogue Valley. We've made this sound like this. We've turned this into this. We provide free shuttle service or pickup and delivery of your vehicle. Rogue Automotive is at 828 North Central Avenue, and we're open Monday through Friday from 7 to 6. Rogue Automotive, your family-operated advanced car care center. We do it all.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You're bringing your daughter to a pop concert. Do you A, wear earplugs?
Isn't this fun, Dad?
I'll have a soft pretzel.
Or B, just roll with it.
Justin! OMG! I love you, Justin! I love you!
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Joey Mack, Ducks play-by-play guy, on the phone line with me for a few minutes here on Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. I want to talk NFL tonight, college football playoff, national title game as well. But when I got the Ducks sideline reporter and the play-by-play guy for Oregon basketball, I got to talk Ducks. Joey, let's start with the big news out of the football program today. Normally, when 4 juniors hold a press conference, you're thinking these guys are gone. They're going to the NFL. They're going to sign a big contract and make a lot of money in a few months. Today, 4 Oregon juniors say, we believe in Coach Mario Cristobal, and we're going to stay for a senior year. Did you see that coming?
You know, I did. I felt like when you have 4 juniors all going up at the same time, let me put it this way. I guess I would have been surprised if they all weren't doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those things where if they all get up there and say we've all decided to forego our senior season, I would have been like, yeah, makes sense because you got to have kind of the same announcement for all 4 guys. And so right. I thought that when they decided to do the press conference all together, that it made sense for all of the Ducks to be returning. And I think that it's the right move, and it speaks to just the culture that Mario Cristobal has put together. I mean, and, you know, it's kind of interesting. It was actually a line of questioning at the press conference today. Like last year, you had Justin Herbert and Troy Dye, who notably decided to return. And then, of course, Sabrina Ionescu decided to return, and that was a really big deal. And now you're seeing the top juniors for Oregon returning again for the football team. And I just, you know, it speaks to what's happening at Oregon, I think, that the Ducks are getting all of these big-time players to forego the NFL or professional ranks and the WNBA if you're Sabrina Ionescu and return to school. I think that is a really big deal, and I think that it deserves a lot of credit for what the entire department has put together. You know, that this is a place that people don't really want to leave all that soon, which is kind of a cool deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think of you as a great example where you go to school at Oregon and you get your initial work in the industry at Oregon, and you end up staying here, and you're probably going to die working at Oregon. You're going to be there forever.
Well, maybe. I mean, I hope so. You know, but it's certainly, though, that to me that's an example of just how good this place is. I mean, that's why a lot of people don't want to leave, and it is a big deal, Matt, to be honest. I think that it's just that family atmosphere. You know, I was talking with the new soccer coach, Graham Abel, about this last week on Duck Insider.
Dude.
You know, he brought up the point that it's the most overused cliche in sports, that it's a family. It's a family here. It's a family environment. He said it's the most overused cliche in sports. But he was like, but no, here I actually felt it. Like, that's part of why he took the job. And I asked Rob Mullins about that, you know, and I told him, you know, hey, he said this is the most overused cliche in sports, and Rob agreed. And he still was like, yeah, this is a big deal. I mean, you know, this is a huge, huge deal. So it was cool to see that and hear that, and I think we're kind of seeing it all play out now with these juniors returning to school for Oregon football.
Talking with Joey Mack, Ducks host of Duck Insider, sideline reporter during Duck football, and play-by-play guy for men's basketball. I want to go into left field with you, Joey. You just mentioned the new women's soccer coach, Graham Abel. Now, I'm a huge soccer guy. I wish I could talk about it more, but I don't think it's that big for sports talk radio in the state. Let's throw that aside for a minute, and just if you could tell Duck fans about this guy and what you think he can bring to that program, what is it?
Well, I think he brings a lot of experience. I mean, he's been in the collegiate ranks at Oklahoma, and he also won 2 World Cups as an assistant coach for Jill Ellis. I mean, that's that's a big deal. The U.S. women's national team won a World Cup in 15 and in 19, and he was an assistant coach for both of them. He's got a lot of experience, and I think he just brings a good personality, too. You know, the first time I met him, for those who are unaware, he's originally from the United Kingdom. And for those who have met him, I think that they'd agree with me that he doesn't have a strong accent that makes it hard to understand. But the first time that I met him was last Monday, and he joked, he asked if we had subtitles on Duck Insider, which just made me laugh because I was like, Coach, I don't have a hard time understanding you at all.
Right.
But that's the personality that he brings. And he's developed a lot of really good talent. He's learned a lot from Jill Ellis. And I asked him, you know, the biggest thing, and he actually didn't mention, like, anything tactically on the soccer field. It was more about how Jill Ellis manages her team. And it wasn't just from a time and how do you develop player standpoint. She was on the forefront of sports science and how the sports performance can really impact the team. And Oregon obviously has been on the forefront of that with the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center and having, you know, sports nutritionists and guys that look at all the data and the GPS tracking of players throughout a practice and their heart rates and everything that's going on. And Jill Ellis was really on the forefront of that from a soccer standpoint and how she managed the U.S. women's national team. And Graham Abel said that was a big thing that he took away from her. And, I just thought it was cool to see a coach that saw the value in some of that more modern sports science stuff. And Oregon is on the forefront of that as well. So I just think that was kind of a cool comparison for him to make. But I think he brings a lot of experience to this team, and I think he just brings a lot of energy, which is exciting.
Yeah.
So he's pretty dedicated to bringing this Oregon soccer team up to the standard of Oregon athletics, which frankly is really, really impressive. There's a lot of success around Oregon right now, and Oregon soccer is the next one.
Yeah, sky-high potential to me. Joey Mack, my guest right now. Kind of sound like you're in a submarine, Joey. Am I on speaker there?
I hope not.
Okay, all right. That sounds a lot better. Want to ask you about hoops now. Men's basketball sweeps the Arizona schools. How big was that weekend to you?
I thought it was huge. You know, I think that anytime you can beat a top 25 team, that's a big deal. I don't care who you are. If you're beating a top 25 team, that's a big deal. And the Ducks did that against Arizona in overtime in a really, really tight game. And again, you know, the Ducks only led for about 3.5 minutes in that game, and Arizona led for like 35 minutes, and the Ducks still found a way to win. I think this team just knows how to win games. You know, they're grinders, man, and I think that experience goes a really long way in hopefully the NCAA tournament, but really throughout the entire season. The Ducks are just going to keep winning those kind of grinded out games, and beating Arizona the way they did, I was a grinder, and they did it again this weekend without C.J. Walker. They are still not at full strength in the front court. They've had Shakur Juice miss 5 games. They've had C.J. Walker now miss a few games. And Foley Dante didn't join the team until midway through December. They haven't been at full strength yet. So just wait until this team is at full strength and everything's clicking. You know, Dana Altman said it this weekend that the exciting thing is they're winning games, but there's still so much more there, and there's so much more potential for this Oregon team. I think that the sky's the limit for where they can get to, particularly with a National Player of the Year candidate in Peyton Pritchard. You know,
Right.
I think that he is going to be one of the 10 finalists for the Wooden Award. He's already one of the top 25 guys on that midseason watch list for the Player of the Year. I think he's going to stay on that watch list. I think that he's going to make a really strong case for himself. And frankly, those individual awards tend to be given out to guys that are on winning teams. And if the Ducks keep winning, it's certainly going to help that bid for Peyton Pritchard to win the National Player of the Year. I was impressed with the way they won over Arizona, took care of business against Arizona State. I think that this team is in a really good spot. And frankly, I think going on the road and sweeping the Washington schools is definitely attainable for this team. It's tough when you're on the road in conference play, but Washington State, I think that Oregon matches up well with that team, even with C.J. Ellaby, who can really score the basketball for Washington State under their new first-year head coach. And then, the Ducks have had success against Washington in Seattle this year, or the last couple years. last 2 years, they've won in Seattle against Mike Hopkins' coach teams, and this is now a Washington team that's going to be without Quade Green. It looks like he's going to be out for at least this term because of academics, and that's a big deal. I think that Cal beating Washington, that may not happen if Quade Green is out there. They're going through a bit of an adjustment period right now, and remember, Matt, that's the national CBS game at 12:45 Pacific time from Seattle. There's going to be a lot of eyes on men's basketball this weekend. I think that it's a real opportunity for the Ducks to, in front of a national audience, show how good they are.
I had a question about this team, Joey, but now I want to follow up on that CBS game this weekend. I forgot about that. Ducks and the Huskies on the radio here locally, News Media 99.5 and 880. Also, I know Westwood One is offering a feed, and CBS doing one on TV. Does that change your broadcast at all? Like, do the cameras get in the way, or do you got to take a different seat? How does that work for you?
No, not usually. You know, sometimes when we've got national radio, it ends up being that there's an additional seat courtside for a lot of places. At Washington, they've actually got some media seating that are about 10, 20 rows up on the, if you will, the top of the first level of the concourse. So they're right on the concourse opposite of the benches. So I think it's just more people around. You know, in fact, the TV cameras, honestly, a lot of times it helps because you get better replay angles. And so for someone like me, who, what I like to do when I do a broadcast is I'll have the TV feed that's usually about maybe a 15 to 20 second delay.
Right.
I'll actually have that sitting next to me so that I can look over if I want to see a replay of something. I can actually see it in real time on the TV broadcast. But for those of us like me that are either watching the game in person or you're listening on the radio, then you're getting it about 15, 20 seconds ahead of where TV is. So even though it's happening on TV in real time, I'm then seeing it on replay 15, 20 seconds later. So it actually helps when there's more broadcast angles around. And, you know, again, I think that it's a real opportunity for the Ducks. I mean, I hope that everybody's listening to our broadcast on the Oregon Sports Network, but at the same time, if it's a national TV game on CBS, there's just a lot of eyeballs that are on that maybe aren't Duck fans. They're just watching for a good basketball game, and it's a chance for Oregon to really show something to a national audience.
Yeah, big opportunity for the Ducks. Now what I was going to ask you, Joey, you cited what Dana Altman said post-game after the win the other night. I always hear a little unhappiness in Dana's voice. I always feel like he can be a harsh critic for this team, even when they're doing well. Do you think that's changed with this squad, Joey? Does he seem happier this year, or is that just me?
Well, I think that it's always the way that he approaches it is that you can get better. And I think that's just his personality and his way of getting the team to understand that. And they do. I mean, it works, clearly. I mean, look at how successful he's been, not just in 10 years at Oregon, but in the 16, I believe, years prior at Creighton. You know, I mean, it's working. It's kind of that idea of there's always something that you can improve on. And I think that's why he always is looking for the things to improve on when he talks with me and with the media on the post-game interviews. I do think that this team is probably less stressful for him than maybe the last couple just because there's more experience on this roster. But that's just his personality. I think that he always has a little bit of that controlled, I guess, controlled misery, if you will, where, you know, there's this idea of you can always get better, and you can get better, and you got to recognize that. And Coach Altman certainly does. That's why the Ducks have a lot of success at the end of the year.
All right, one last topic for you, Joey. College football national title game. Who you got?
I said in week 6 that I thought LSU was just on another level, and I thought that they would be the national champion. So I'm going to stick with that. I think that LSU is going to win, but it would not surprise me if Clemson won. I mean, they've been there before. You know, that's what everybody forgets is that experience means a lot. You know, LSU, they got a lot of players on their roster that haven't been in this game before. Now, they've certainly looked the part all season long, but Clemson's been there. Dabo Swinney's been there. Yeah, they're the experienced group. I think, though, that LSU just has so much talent. Joe Burrow is really playing at another level right now. So I think the smart pick is probably LSU. I think it's going to be a close game, but it wouldn't surprise me if Clemson pulls it out just with their experience factor.
Who won your last NCAA 14 title?
Oh, geez.
Because I know you're a gamer. I know you're a crazy gamer. I've had multiple people say that you just go nuts on that game.
Yeah, I'm glad that somebody thinks I'm pretty good at it. No, that does bring back some memories. Probably Oregon. I mean, that would be my smart pick because I'm probably playing with Oregon in that game. But I'll say this, it's funny that you bring that up because a couple of my buddies and I have had one of those online dynasties going for years and years, and we're trying to resurrect one actually that's a few years old. And the rule in that one is you had to be a one-star school. So to be honest with you, I don't even remember which team one of us was. But one of us did win the national championship with a one-star school, which tells you that we probably play a lot and we play too much, and we probably need some other hobbies.
Yeah, that sounds like Georgia Southern winning it all. At least that's what I would
probably.
Joey Mack, my guest. He reports on the sidelines during Duck games for football. Those will be back next fall, obviously. And then play-by-play for men's hoops. And the host of Duck Insider every day right here at 3 o'clock, right before my show. Joey, as always, I love having you on. I hope you sweep the Washington schools just like you took care of the desert. And I'll talk to you again on Monday.
Yeah, I hope so, too. It's a big weekend, big opportunity going on the road for the Ducks. Appreciate it, Matt.
Okay, that was Joey Mack. Now time to wrap up hour one. I will revisit my championship pick as I almost burp all of my notes out there in front of the world. LSU or Clemson? Who do you got? I got Clemson. I'll tell you why. And what's next for the Texans? I really believe this team can win a Super Bowl next year, but they got to make some changes. I'll walk you through it next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
Hi, Saver. Walgreens here. We like the way you save. Take coffee. You know it doesn't have to cost $4 a cup, so you make your own. And co-pays on Medicare Part D. You save up to $5 and get 100 Balance Rewards points on each prescription when Walgreens is your preferred pharmacy. Save smartly on Med D. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Copay savings on Tier 1 generic drugs available through select plans that include Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Points cannot be earned in Arkansas, New Jersey, or New York. Complete details at walgreens.com/balance.
Did you know that New Stage Collision is the only Mercedes-Benz certified collision center between Portland and Sacramento? That says a lot, because not just any shop can become one. They've made the significant commitments to the quality and service required to receive this level of recognition. And you can be sure that New Stage Collision offers only genuine Mercedes-Benz replacement parts and uses approved tools and paints. And their technicians are up to date with the latest skills and training, so you can get the manufacturer-approved repair methods that help ensure the structural integrity of your car is restored to pre-loss condition. For Mercedes-Benz and all makes and models, call New Stage Collision at 772-2127. That's 772-2127. Or stop by 523 Ross Anley Drive and ask them about their fleet of loaner cars.
Hi, this is Dave Husel, owner of New Stage Collision. For over 40 years, we've put you, the customer, first, and that will never change. I hope you never need us, but if you do, we'll be here for you. Thank you, Southern Oregon.
New Stage Collision, simply the best.
Make it a great day with DA.
Before the game began, Tony Romo. I expect a vintage Tom Brady performance today.
Well, didn't happen, did it? And it's because it's not going to happen. He's 42 freaking years old, but people don't want to see it.
Bring back Brady. We'll go back to the Super Bowl.
That door's closed. They ain't winning any more Super Bowls.
Mornings 3 to 7 on 96.1 580 The Game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Just over 30 minutes away from Peter Panessy, NinerNoise.com. He's slated for 5:30. In the meantime, I want to share another prediction for the national title game. I want to help anybody on the fence picking that game, LSU Clemson. I want to get my reaction and your reaction to the NFL Hall of Fame, teasing a couple names. Text me, 541-630-4792, and tell me what you think about Bill Cowher and Jimmy Johnson getting in. I will share my thoughts this hour if I have time. And I'll tell you right now, I will give a sneak peek to my NFL pick for 2020. Right now, after yesterday, after watching what happened at Arrowhead in that first half, I think the Texans could win the Super Bowl next year. Could win the Super Bowl. Now, will they? No. Because I think that the single biggest thing this team could do, fire Bill O'Brien, they're not going to do it. I want to walk through that. What's next for Houston? I was blown away by that game. They get up 21-0, and they march down the field, and there was a moment in that game where I realized Bill O'Brien is never going to win a championship. It's easy for fans to believe that NFL teams all want one thing. Right, as a Raider fan, I want to believe that John Gruden and Mike Mayock and Mark Davis all want to build a Super Bowl winner. Cowboy fans, you want to believe that Jerry and Stephen Jones and formerly Jason Garrett and now Mike McCarthy all want to build a Super Bowl winner. Niner fans, you want to believe that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan want to build a Super Bowl winner. I think they do. I think Bill Belichick does at New England. I think that the Rooneys do in Pittsburgh. But most organizations, I don't think they really want to win a championship. It would be nice. It'd be a feather in your cap. But really, these teams want to make money. If the Chargers sign Tom Brady, they're not trying to win a championship. You can't say he's an upgrade over Phillip Rivers. They're both old. They're both overrated now. If the Chargers sign Tom Brady, they're trying to sell tickets. They want to stay in L.A. They want to fill that new stadium. If the Cowboys extend Dak Prescott, they're trying to sell jerseys. He's going to demand a $40 million contract. I think they're going to pay it, but he's not a $40 million player. Nobody's worth $40 million. But Dak's jerseys are. Dak's appeal to Cowboys fans, that might be worth $40 million. Butts in the seats, fans wearing the jerseys, fans rocking the gear, fans following him on Twitter and caring about him on TV every Sunday. That's what the Cowboys care about. And that takes me to the Texans. I would fire Bill O'Brien. You're up 21-0 in the second quarter of a playoff game, and nobody believed you would be up. Nobody believed you would have a 21-zip lead on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You have to put the pedal to the metal. You got to floor it, and you got to keep up on this team. You cannot let up on this team, and that's what they did. 4th and inches on Kansas City's 11-yard line. Now tell me this. If you don't believe your superstar quarterback, Deshaun Watson, can get an inch, you're not a championship coach. Then look at what the Texans did later in that second quarter. You don't give Deshaun Watson a chance on 4th and inches on the opponent's 11-yard line when you're up 3 touchdowns. Then the Chiefs rally. The Chiefs score 2 touchdowns, and you go for it on a fake punt. You got to get 5 yards inside your own territory. That's insane to me. That is Bill O'Brien proving that he can't manage a game. Now, again, I would fire Bill O'Brien. I think there's one thing every NFL coach has to do, and that's manage a game. I don't think he knows how. I would let him go. But I don't think the Texans will do that. I think that we want teams to win championships, and I believe if they fire him, they can win a championship, but they're trying to sell tickets. They're trying to please their fans, sell jerseys, sell tickets, and just be competitive every year. They're not firing Bill O'Brien, and that's a mistake. I want to hear from you, 541-630-4792. I could talk Pac-12. I promise I'll get to that next hour. Could talk Ravens as well. I got thoughts on that loss. But Hall of Fame and the college football playoff. Here's one more thing to consider with tonight's national championship game. I think that time matters, and it really matters. because LSU's offense is hyped. They will be talked about tonight ad nauseum. They will be pointed out. You will hear Joe Brady's name said a ton and Joe Burrow's name said a ton. But I have seen time and time again in college football, if you give a team a month to prepare, they can beat you. If you give Clemson a month to shut down this offense, heck, I think about every time Georgia Tech ever got into a bowl game. Great offense. Nobody in the ACC could stop it. They were running the triple option with Paul Johnson. Or every time Navy has gone to a bowl game running the triple option, teams can't stop it. And I know this ain't the triple option. This is something totally different. But you give somebody a month to prepare, they figure it out. Every time. Texas Tech in a bowl game running the air raid, they get shut down. Wazoo, same story. You give teams a month, and they can beat you. I think that time will pay dividends for Clemson tonight. I think they can beat them. I like the Tigers, the Clemson Tigers. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. Text me, and if it's good, I'll read it on the air. Same rule for voicemails. Talk to me, 541-630-4792. Leave me a message, and if it's good, I'll play it back right here. Wrap up hour one real quick on the Hall of Fame. I'll get into this next. I'm really angry. This is one of those topics that if I don't rein myself in, I'll get fired. So I'll just be honest with you. I think what the Hall of Fame did this weekend was a travesty. I know it was cute. I know it was great TV, watching Jimmy Johnson choke up and Bill Cowher brought to tears. But I thought it was a farce, and I thought it was ridiculous. And I think there are some really deserving names that got screwed by this process. It was great for Cowher and Johnson to find out that they were in the Hall on live television, and it was horrible for everybody else in that final list. I'll talk about that next. I think the Hall of Fame did a disservice. I'll break that down. Southern Oregon Sports Talk.
Team up with the 4th annual Run with Grace, Saturday, January 25th, 10 a.m. at a new location, the Rogue Valley Country Club. Last year, over 800 participants ran, jogged, or walked to show their support for the Run with Grace. All proceeds go to sending local youth to camps, activities, or enrichments.
Hi, this is Susan Holt. Run with Grace 5K is a memorial run honoring the life of my daughter, Grace Holt. Grace truly had more joy and happiness in her 15 years than many have in a lifetime. She was kind beyond measure, had true empathy for others, and wanted everyone to be happy. To bring happiness to others is what this day is all about.
Register for the 4th annual Run with Grace and learn more about the Grace and Kindness Scholarship Program. Go to runwithgrace.org. That's runwithgrace.org. Thank you to our hosting sponsor, Rogue Valley Country Club, title sponsor, the West Family Foundation, platinum sponsor, D.A. Davidson. Also, thank you to the Lemonade Project, Patsy Volk at Remax, Eagle Point Eye Care, Orange Theory Fitness, and the rest of their amazing sponsors. Hope to see you there.
How much do you love Richard Sherman attacking agents, by the way?
Oh, it's the best.
All weekend. Richard Sherman hit all of his incentives that he negotiated into a contract himself. Whenever he negotiated his own contract, everybody who has an agent came out and said that Richard Sherman was a buffoon for negotiating his own deal. I'm happy for Richard Sherman. Knows his worth. It's worked out for him. I love a good vendetta revenge case.
The Pat McAfee Show.
7 a.m. weekdays on The Game.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I feel like if I didn't have anyone to push me, I wouldn't even bother to do it. I got one milestone down the drain, and now I got to work on the next. I see the future is really bright for me. I feel like it doesn't matter the age, as long as you go back and get it done. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
No one gets a diploma alone. You have more support than you realize. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Jim Rome's got opinions.
Let me start right here by addressing the Saints fans. I feel for you. For the last 3 years, you've either been jammed by the referees or had your heart ripped out by an opponent. And in the case of the Vikings, both of those things happened. The Saints can blame the refs all they want, but if they look in the mirror and they own it, they'll know the Vikings did not get their best shot. And more than anything else, that's why they lost, not because the refs did them.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon on 96.1 580 The Game.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association.
This is your home for Monday Night Football.
He's out to the numbers, the 40, the 30, down the sideline, the 20, 10, 5, touchdown!
KTMT 580 AM and K241CA 96.1 FM Ashland.
Sports Flag.
I'm Jay Berman. This report is sponsored by Progressive. Progressive makes it easy to compare quotes and get a great rate with the Home Quote Explorer, only at Progressive.com. All right, we'll start with college football. Tonight's the last game of the season. It's the College Football Playoff National Championship. Should be fun. A pair of 14-0 teams going up against each other in New Orleans. Top-ranked LSU, number 3 Clemson. At this point in time, LSU down to 4.5-point favorites. They should kick in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Again, Clemson and LSU from New Orleans in the national title game. All right, before we get back to some more football news, the other big news of the day comes from the world of baseball. Astros GM Jeff Luhnow and manager A.J. Hinch both fired by owner Jim Crane on Monday after Major League Baseball's announcement of discipline following the sign-stealing scandal. Luhnow and Hinch were suspended for the 2020 season. As part of the league's penalty, the Astros will also lose first and second-round draft picks in 2020 and 2021, and the organization was fined a record $5 million. The firings of both Luhnow and Hinch came after the discipline. All right, to the NBA we go, where we do have games in progress. Pelicans and Pistons in the second quarter. Pelicans lead at 55-43. At the half, Sixers lead the Pacers 49-40. In the first, Celtics out quickly on the Bulls 21-9. I'm Jay Berman.
How's this for time? And the Hit King, Pete Rose, stops by on Tiki and Tierney to discuss A.J. Hinch and the Astros.
Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific.
Hear archives on the game's Facebook page, 96.1/580 The Game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Peter Panacey from NinerNoise.com joining me in less than 30 minutes right here on The Game. Till then, I would talk college football playoff national title game, but I'm assuming half of you are watching that one on TV and you have the radio tuned off. The other half of you don't really care. So I'll get into LSU Clemson next segment. But right now I got a bone to pick with the NFL Hall of Fame voters. I said this last hour. I thought that however cute it was to tell Jimmy Johnson on live TV that he was going to rock a gold jacket. Same thing for Bill Cowher. No matter how cute that was, it was a spit in the face to all the other eligible candidates. Because now they find out on national television, remember, there were like 10 coaches that were finalists and only 2 were going to make it. That was what the NFL said. And they find out that Cowher and Jimmy Johnson are those guys. What message does that send? That is despicable to me. Everybody else finds out at the same time, the same way. These guys, they're humiliated on national television. And I'm talking about guys like the great Don Coryell. Air Coryell. He invented the modern passing game. Dan Fouts has been banging the drum for years. This guy needs to rock a gold jacket. You cannot tell the history of football without Don Coryell. And he gets passed over for Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher, good guy, good coach, not a great coach, wins 1 Super Bowl, and Seahawks fans will tell you, it's not like they blew them out in that Super Bowl. It's not like they were the most dominant team in football. They were a 6th seed. They got lucky. They go up against a lousy Denver team and Jake Plummer, who choke in the AFC title game. And then they take care of a Seahawks team that Matt Hasselbeck was their quarterback. Sean Alexander, an aging Sean Alexander, was their running back. And the officials did everything they could to give Pittsburgh the game, so they win that game. That's the guy you put in the Hall of Fame? Really? That's not a great resume. That's not better than Don Coryell, father of modern football. Doesn't make any sense to me. And then you forget about Tom Flores, who I have fought for years now, and I'm angry for him, an elderly man who has a lot of health trouble and I don't believe will live to see his name in the halls of Canton. I am angry that Tom Flores gets passed up by Bill Cowher and Jimmy Johnson. And let me break this down for you. Tom Flores won a ring as a player. He played on the very first Oakland Raider AFL team in 1960. He was an AFL lifer, member of the Raiders, member of the Bills, and a member of the Chiefs' 1969 Super Bowl championship team. They win the AFL. They win the Super Bowl. He's got a ring. All right? Everyone remembers Len Dawson. They forget Tom Flores was his backup on that team. Then, after an accomplished playing career, he becomes an offensive coordinator. Before that was a term. He runs all the plays for the Raiders of the 70s. He's involved in every iconic playoff game that they played in the 70s. Sea of Hands, he calls the play. Immaculate Reception, the scramble that Stabler has before that famous Franco play, he called that too. Then you get to 76 and the Super Bowl, and he's the offensive coordinator, and they win it. So that's 2 rings for Tom Flores. And that doesn't even bring us to Tom Flores, the head coach. Takes over in 79, flip over to 80, and he leads the first ever wild card Super Bowl champ. And they do it in dominant fashion. And they beat up on an Eagles team that is still revered to this day. Harold Carmichael was the best player on that Eagles team. He might get into the Hall this year. And his team got blown out in the Super Bowl by Tom Flores. That's ring number 3. Then ring number 4, Joe Gibbs, Joe Theismann, and the Redskins. Dominant offense. The best passing team of their day. And the Raiders shut them down with 2 of the best corners to ever don a uniform in football. And that team was coached by Tom Flores. That's 4 rings, not to mention he's a pioneer, the first Latino coach in the modern game, the first Latino quarterback in the modern game, first Latino offensive coordinator in the modern game. For a generation of fans, he was their hero. I didn't say it. Ron Rivera said it. I didn't say it. Anthony Munoz, who is in the Hall of Fame, he said it. And Flores has 4 rings, and he has all that accolades and all that history, and he waits and watches Bill Cowher and Jimmy Johnson pass him up. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. And you might say that Flores, yeah, when he goes to Seattle, he didn't turn the Seahawks around. They struggled. I know there are people that will say he wasn't that good of a coach because of his second stint. You just put Jimmy Johnson in the Hall of Fame. I know he was great in Dallas, but he goes to Miami, doesn't win squat, and that doesn't matter for him. And Bill Cowher doesn't have half the impact that Don Coryell made on the game of football. You can't write the history of the game without Don Coryell and that passing offense in the 70s. You can totally skip over Bill Cowher. Doesn't matter. Irrelevant to the history of pro football, and Bill Cowher gets in. Obviously, history is not a metric. Obviously, merit is not a metric. Rings don't matter. Success doesn't matter. Your contribution, your lineage, your legacy, that's irrelevant. What the Hall of Fame cares about, and they proved it this weekend, is popularity. Are you on TV? Are you schmoozing the right people? Are you impressing the media that vote on this process and politicking with the coaches that voted on this new process? It wasn't supposed to be like this. They widened the door. They said we're going to accept more candidates than ever. They said we're going to accept more veteran candidates than ever before. They said we're going to change who votes on the Hall so that there's no bias like what happened with Terrell Owens the last couple years. And Flores and Coryell were supposed to get in. But the most important metric for Hall of Fame voters is popularity. You can change everything else. You can widen the process. You can open the door. But if popularity is still your metric, those guys are on the outside looking in. And I think that's a shame, and I think it's a travesty. And I am thankful that the Hall of Fame voters don't hear from somebody like me, because if they did, I don't know how they'd sleep at night. 541-630-4792. I want to hear from you. What do you think about all that? Also, I want your thoughts on the Ducks. A big day for Duck football. And it could have been bigger, but they kind of kept something on the back burner. We'll talk about that. A huge day for college football. National title going on as we speak. I want to share one more prediction for how that game is going to turn out. And get you to a Seahawks question. I get an hour through the show, and I haven't talked about the worst coaching decision of the day. It wasn't even Bill O'Brien. It was Pete Carroll. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what's next and what I would do if I were in charge of the Seahawks. That's next right here. Then Peter Panessy joining me, talking Niners and pro football at 5:30. But let's look at the Seahawks. Let's fix Seattle, and let's get to the heart of the issue, why this team choked, and where they go from here. Next on Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
Every mattress store says, we have the best customer service. And to that I say, Garrison Sleep has the best customer service. So, who's telling the truth? Well, Garrison Sleep has a 4.9 out of 5 rating on Google, and Oregon Business Magazine named Garrison's one of the 100 best companies to work for in the entire state. We have the tools and the talent to match you with the perfect mattress. So, who has the best customer service? The proof is in the pudding. And now I'm hungry. Garrisons.com, we got your back.
It's that time of year again. Snow is filling the mountains, and car batteries are more prone to dying. That means it's the time of the year to take advantage of the winter specials going on at Interstate Batteries, offering free battery tests and free installations. If your car is having trouble getting started in the morning, it might be time to get that free battery test at Interstate Batteries, located in Central Point on North Pacific Highway next to Quality Tire. Don't go unprepared this winter. The last thing anyone wants is to be stranded in the cold. Interstate Batteries also offers Jumpstart cables and the most trusted brand in batteries since 1952, so you can have peace of mind while traveling during the wintry months. See why homes and businesses have trusted Interstate Batteries for all their battery and accessory needs for over 67 years. You can learn more at interstatebatteries.com or jumpstart your winter preparation by getting your free battery test at Interstate Batteries in Central Point on North Pacific Highway next to Quality Tire. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
I like habit, and Brady loves habit. I've moved cross-country 3 times. It disrupts that. And when you move, all those little things that you love, exactly where you park and exactly the freeway you take, and it takes you 9 minutes, Brady loves that. I think it's 80-20. He's a Patriot. I did it a couple days ago.
Colin Cowherd.
Weekdays at noon on 96.1 580 The Game.
Listen, my life changed because someone was there to get me to use drugs. No one can understand. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to think that having someone who will listen is gonna help make it better. I'm realizing that I need help.
I'm listening.
I need help. I'm realizing that I think that having someone who will listen is going to help make it better. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to understand. No one can get me to use drugs. My life changed because someone was there to listen.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Talking national championship as they get ready to kick off. LSU Clemson. Also getting you ready for some playoff conversation. Peter Panassi from NinerNoise.com. He's going to join me in about 10, maybe 12 minutes. Talk Niners, talk NFL, and get you ready for the conference championship games. But right now, I want to ask a question for Seahawk fans. I thought Seattle was going to win that game, and I said so all week. I felt like that was the most confident, the most comfortable pick to make, and clearly I was wrong. Packers get that big lead, 28-10 at one point, and put on cruise control. Seattle catches up, and I'm convinced after that game, when you have Russell Wilson marching down the field with just over 2 minutes to go, and you have your timeouts, and you only need 11 yards on 4th down. I know the sack hurt. You only needed 11 yards on 4th down. Russ can get that. He's that good. Your offense can get 11 yards. That's not unreasonable. I think Pete Carroll is unfit to coach. I think he proved it by punting away on 4th and 11, and they never get the ball back, and they lose that game. Everyone wants to talk about the Jimmy Graham play that the Packers made on the next drive. Did he cross the first down marker? Did he line short of the first down marker? I don't care. You lost that game when you punted away with the ball just over 2 minutes to go. You have Russell Wilson. You have the most dynamic quarterback in professional football, and you said, I'd rather trust our lousy, young, inexperienced defense to get it done. And they didn't get it done. Pete Carroll should be gone. If I were in charge of the Seahawks, and I say this with the utmost respect, he won titles at USC, he won a Super Bowl in dominant fashion, should have won 2. but he's got a pretty great resume. He's got a trophy case that is full of hardware. If I weren't in charge of the Seahawks, I would put Pete Carroll aside and say, Pete, I love you, I respect you, but it's time to move on. You have Russell Wilson, you have weapons, and you didn't trust him, and you didn't get it done. This team should be in the NFC title game, but they were held back by bad coaching. That's my thoughts on the Seahawks loss. How about you? 541-630-4792. Text me, 541-630-4792. Share your opinion and leave me a voicemail, 541-630-4792. I think it's really similar to the situation with the Texans, where we well, let me phrase this the right way. Consider the difference between Bill O'Brien and Pete Carroll. There's really not much of a difference. One coach decides up 21-0 to play it safe because he doesn't want to give the other team momentum. But by kicking a field goal on 4th and inches on their 11, they get a stop. They realize it's only a 3-score game with 3 quarters to play. They believe inherently that they can come back. And then on the very next play, you give up a deep kickoff return. They know they're going to come back. They know they're going to blow you out. And all that momentum you didn't want to give, you gave it to them, right? The one thing you don't want to do, you do. That's Bill O'Brien. Pete Carroll, I think if there's one difference, he tries so hard not to make a mistake. He tries to play it safe. He tries to play conservatively. The Seahawks trailed big third quarter. They're down 28-10 at one point. Seattle's still running the ball, killing a ton of clock. That's not what Andy Reid would have done. Chiefs down 24-0. They spread it out, go quick tempo, and trust their superstar quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. And as much as we want to bag on the Ravens, that's not what they would have done. They trusted Lamar Jackson. Didn't work out, but they put Lamar, drop back, scan the field, spread it out, go find your guys. Didn't work, but I'm not going to fault them for trying, right? If you have that superstar quarterback and you have that offense that can march down the field, you got to try that. Seahawks didn't try it. They played it safe. They killed a bunch of time in the third quarter, hoping not to get a turnover. And then in the fourth quarter, when they needed time, they didn't have it. 541-630-4792. I think coaching blew it on Sunday. And also just want to say, Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the game. You got to trust him. You got to lean on him. They didn't do it. 541-630-4792. Jake texts in, it's definitely 100% Bill O'Brien's fault for the fake punt. Oh, he's being a smart aleck. And definitely Bill O'Brien's fault for the fake punt and not the defense giving up 7 straight touchdowns. I get it. Okay, that defense was a sieve, and O'Brien reportedly says after the game, throwing his defense under the bus, that he thought they needed to score 50. But if you really believe they needed to score 50 to win, clearly they did, why are you kicking a field goal on 4th and inches? Why are you kicking a field goal on 4th and inches if you really believe you have no shot holding that Kansas City offense back? Bill O'Brien has terrible game management. I think it's costing the Texans. I think if they replaced him with anybody else, I know Kevin Stefanski just got hired by the Browns. Let's pretend that Kevin Stefanski is the head coach of the Texans. Or in a best-case scenario, let's imagine that Josh McDaniels gets that job. A good coach, a good coordinator, a veteran play caller who I believe has that thing that every coach needs, game management. You put Josh McDaniels in charge of that team, they have a quarterback. They have 3 awesome wide receivers who could be number ones on any team in the league. Hopkins, Stills, and the guy from Notre Dame that's always hurt. Will Fuller. They have a running game with Carlos Hyde, who is underrated. They have an offensive line that has some good pieces. Laramie Tunzel is a franchise left tackle, and they have a defense that can generate pressure and force turnovers. They have a formula for a Super Bowl team, but they have a toilet bowl coach. Bill O'Brien's game management is holding that team back from Lombardi's. 541-630-4792. Peter Panessy going to join me in a couple minutes right here. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. I'm just killing time waiting for that. In the meantime, let's talk about the teams that moved on, because I've spent enough time on the losers. Kansas City, you're down 24-0 yesterday. That crowd, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. And then they erupt. 7 straight touchdowns. Absolutely dominating the second and third and fourth quarters of that game. I think it proves this. When the Chiefs are at their best, they are unstoppable. Best quarterback in football. An offensive juggernaut, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, fastest guy on the planet, a stable of backs, an offensive line that does its job. Think about that, Seattle fans. An offensive line that does its job. Man, the Seahawks would kill for one of those. And a defense that doesn't get enough credit. They had hits, they forced turnovers, they got sacks, and they got stops. They give up 24 points at the start of that game, and they rally. All right, you absolutely boat race Houston the rest of the way. Got to give the defense credit for that. If the Chiefs can play at their best, nobody stops them. Not Derrick Henry, not Ryan Tannehill. Good Lord, not Ryan Tannehill. And I don't think the Niners can beat them either. I think that game is going to be the closest to the bunch. If San Francisco wins and Kansas City wins, you'll have a great Super Bowl. You'll have a shootout, an electric game. I trust Kyle Shanahan to lead Jimmy G into a big game. I trust Andy Reid to lead Patrick Mahomes into a big game. But I think the Chiefs' weapons outnumber the Niners' weapons, and I think Kansas City wins the Super Bowl. The wild card in all this, of course, is that 6'3" workhorse in the AFC South. I've heard that he's human. I don't believe it. Derrick Henry, 200 yards Saturday night, almost that last weekend against the Patriots. This is a guy unparalleled in professional football. We have never seen a player do what he's doing. We've never seen a back single-handedly carry a team from the 6th seed to the Lombardi. I mentioned Bill Cowher's 6th seed Steelers earlier this hour. That team had Jerome Bettis. Jerome Bettis was an afterthought. He was about to retire. Willie Parker, yeah, he had a great Super Bowl. It's not like Willie Parker carried that team. 6 seeds just don't make it this far, and this running back is making the difference. I have never seen this happen in the NFL, but I've thought about this long and hard the last couple days. I have seen it happen in another sport, and this analogy or this comparison might appear out of left field, but I think there's something to it. The last NBA lockout season, I want to say 2011, the Lakers are the defending champs. They are the favorites to win the Western Conference. The Heat just signed LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade, and they are the favorites out of the Eastern Conference. All year, everybody thinks Lakers and Heat, unquestionably. And likely the Heat winning it all because they got LeBron, they got Bosh, they got Wade. There's no way they lose, right? Well, the Lakers get their part of the bargain done. They dispatch their opponent in the first round. Round 2 of the playoffs, different story. They get swept by a 4 seed. I remember this vividly. I remember everybody in the NBA freaking out. The 4 seed never wins a playoff series in the NBA. And they didn't just win it, they swept them. Commotion. And then that 4 seed wins the Western Conference Finals, and then Eastern Conference bracket, that was chalk. Heat move on. Heat are in the finals. The Heat are going to sweep. That's what everybody said. You know the story. The 4 seed out of the Western Conference, the Dallas Mavericks, a regular team, not a superstar team, gets it done and stuns the Heat and stuns the world. They win in 6. And why did they win? Why did Mark Cuban hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the year and rub it into David Stern and celebrate on national TV? Because Dirk Nowitzki single-handedly carried that team. Were they a better team than any other team in the NBA? No. But Dirk Nowitzki was the best player in those playoffs. The best player. Clutch shot after clutch shot. Big play after big play. He carried that team on his shoulders, and every time people said he can't do it again, he did it again. And he won a title at the end of it. That is the comparison for Derrick Henry. Are the Titans the best team in the playoffs? No. Their quarterback threw for 70 yards in Foxborough, threw for 80 yards in Baltimore. That's not good enough against Patrick Mahomes. Is their defense on par? Lamar Jackson still had some big throws. He threw for 300, ran for 100. Statistically, they got diced up. They're not the best team out of the 4. Not even close. They might be the worst team out of the 4. But they have the best player. Derrick Henry is going off, carrying those Titans. And as long as he's healthy, as long as he's running, they're going to give him the ball. I know Kansas City is my pick. I trust the Chiefs. And I like the Niners out of the NFC. I won't hold anything past Derrick Henry. This team, very well, flip a coin, and they represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Flip a coin, and they win a Lombardi trophy because of Derrick Henry. That's where I'm at right now. How about you? 541-630-4792. I wonder what Peter Panessy thinks. He writes at NinerNoise.com. I want to promote that site and get his thoughts on the Niners and what he thinks about the burgundy and gold moving forward. Also want his thoughts on the Final Four of the NFL playoffs. How much of a threat is this Packers team? How about that Titans team I just talked about? And if the Niners face Kansas City, are they the underdogs? We'll talk about that next. Peter Panessy, NinerNoise.com, joining me next on Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1, 580, The Game.
Hey hunters, have you registered yet for this year's Sportsman's Warehouse Bucks and Bulls competition? There's no entry fee, and it's not too late to register for rifle and bow, youth and women-only categories. As a participant of the Bucks and Bulls competition, you'll be eligible to win great prizes and possibly be awarded the biggest buck or bull in the whole area. The first place winner receives a $300 Sportsman's Warehouse gift card. The second place winner receives a $200 Sportsman's Warehouse gift card, and the third place winner receives a $100 Sportsman's Warehouse gift card. For the youth category, the first place winner takes home a $350 Sportsman's Warehouse gift card. Put it on the calendar. Sportsman's Warehouse Bucks and Bulls event, Saturday, January 25th. This is a fun event for the whole family with games and prizes as Sportsman's Warehouse awards the winners of this year's Bucks and Bulls competition. Sportsman's Warehouse. Take it outside.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left my campsite, I was putting out my fire, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me?
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He likes it when people correctly put out their campfires. He's pretty big on wildfire prevention. He's just letting you know you did good with a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Drive home with Zach Gelb.
This Kansas City team to me, what makes them so fascinating is when you combine Patrick Mahomes and then the storyline of Andy Reid. You expect Patrick Mahomes to be great. But when you look at Andy Reid, this is a look at this team where if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, it's a failure. This year, it's Super Bowl or bust.
Weeknights at 6 on 96.1 580 The Game.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I was sensitive to lights and sounds, so I built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. Sometimes I do the same things over and over, until one day I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Hey everybody, Matt Bagley here. Southern Oregon Sports Talk presented by Medford BMW. Here on 96.1 580 The Game. Talking NFL, pro football, playoffs, and an emphasis on San Francisco with NinerNoise.com's Peter Panacey, who joins me on the phone line right now. Let's start with the Burgundy and Gold, Peter. They get it done Saturday. Convincing win, 27-10 over the Vikings. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like there's anything they can improve on after that game? What's your perspective there?
Well, there is. I mean, you could take a look at a number of different things that kind of, I wouldn't say that they're big question marks, but they're definitely slight worries. You saw the one touchdown in that game that Stephon Diggs recorded. He beat Ahkello Witherspoon, the number 2 boundary cornerback. Witherspoon was benched after that and replaced by Emmanuel Mosley,
right,
who doesn't have a ton of experience, but he's played well in limited action. So I would guess Mosley's going to wind up continuing to start, but you would expect Aaron Rodgers to go right after Mosley again this upcoming weekend. So that's kind of one area. And then also, the offensive line for the 49ers has been it's back to being pretty healthy. So, but there's still a question at center with Ben Garland stepping in for Western Richburg, who's on IR. So if I'm the Packers, I'd be attacking the interior of the O-line.
I feel pretty good about this matchup ahead. I felt like if Seattle had won, there's a fear that they can play the Niners a third time, play fearless, and steal one in Santa Clara. I don't feel that way about a Green Bay rematch. How do you feel about this game?
Yeah, pretty much the same way. I think the Packers don't match up well against San Francisco. I mean, like you saw that back on that Sunday Night Football game back in late November. It was a 37-8 beatdown by the 49ers, and I think Aaron Rodgers threw just over 100 yards, and the defense sacked him 5 times, and that Niners defense wasn't fully healthy at that particular time. Quan Alexander, the linebacker, was out.
Right.
I believe Dee Ford was out, and if he wasn't out, he was at least banged up quite a bit. So the Niners defense is a lot more reinforced. It's a lot healthier. And, you try to go down matchup for matchup, and it's just kind of hard to pick up the points where the Packers have an overwhelming strength, against San Francisco. But, of course, it's Aaron Rodgers, so you can't count it out. But at the same time, this year it hasn't really been the Rodgers show. It's been more of the ground play action, establish the run, and then, of course, the Packers actually have a really good pass rush this year. So if the Packers want to, try to hold on to this, they have to keep it a low-scoring game, which is kind of odd saying that considering what they've been over the past few years.
Right. You mentioned the need for the Rodgers show. I think back to a text I got earlier from a listener about they like the Packers because, you've been there before, been there, done that kind of deal deep in the playoffs. Do you think Rodgers can bust that out Sunday, or do you think the Niners have the edge? How do you feel about that part of the matchup?
Well, that's the star power of Aaron Rodgers. That's who he is. I mean, he's played an MVP caliber level multiple times, and he's won a Super Bowl. He's been in the playoffs a bunch as well. But I think what honestly the strength of the Packers has been this year, especially, has been much more balanced of an offense, with getting the running game going again, and you being able to see Aaron Jones really do a lot of work and really set up a lot of things for what Green Bay does, and then getting their defense back. So they're much more balanced. But as far as matching up with a team like San Francisco, and I know the playoff experience is great, but at the same time, there's a lot of players on San Francisco's roster who are the leaders there, who have been in the postseason too. You think Richard Sherman, you think, Joe Staley has been there earlier in his career. Emmanuel Sanders, wide receiver, and Kyle Juszczyk as well. So these guys have some decent amount of playoff experience. D Ford, same thing. So hopefully that's going to be something that you'll wind up seeing work in San Francisco's favor.
I'm chatting with Peter Panessy from NinerNoise.com. That's NinerNoise.com, a great site covering San Francisco 49er football, and I'm sure loaded up with coverage this week before the NFC title game, Niners and Packers, which airs Sunday right here on The Game. Peter Panessy, my guest. Peter, now I want to look at the AFC. Do you have a preferred pick for if the Niners move on? Who do you want them to play in the big game?
I don't really know, because I think that the easy pick would be you pull for a Titans upset. And you say, hey, the 49ers can handle the Titans because you literally just have to take away Derrick Henry. 2 teams have done that. 2 teams have failed in the playoffs. So I don't necessarily know that's an easy way to go. The Niners have had some issues stopping interior runs this season, and that's kind of one of the drawbacks from switching to what's called a wide 9 defensive alignment, where basically you open up the defensive line. It creates more edge pressure, but it also opens up the interior. Now the Niners linebacking core is back to being healthy again, but at the same time, I think the Niners allowed 4.5 yards per carry this season. So it's definitely dangerous. Whereas the Chiefs, they're much more explosive. I think we can all agree on that after what we saw against the Texans.
No doubt.
And their defense is playing a lot better than it was earlier in the season, too. But, yeah, I guess probably I'd have to say the Titans, because it's, you can take away one weapon, Derrick Henry. Again, saying so and doing so are 2 different things. And that would really, really, really shut down anything that the Titans could do. But at the same time, if it's Chiefs 49ers, that would make for a great Super Bowl.
It's just amazing to me, Peter, and you hit the nail on the head. All you got to do is stop Derrick Henry. It sounds so simple. Nobody can do it. I have no idea why.
Yeah, it's and even just watching the work that he put against Baltimore. Baltimore's got a great defense. It's a phenomenal defense, and a lot of people are looking at Lamar Jackson and the turnovers and everything like that. Okay, fine, but gosh, I mean, the Ravens literally had time to sit back and watch Derrick Henry run all over the Patriots and say, okay, time to put 7-8 guys up in the box.
Right.
If the Titans are going to win, it's going to have to be from Ryan Tannehill's arm. And still, the Ravens are very, 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 very talented defense, unable to do that. I don't know. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm worried about that, because even though the Chiefs' defense has been a lot better down the stretch, I think their strength is much more kind of at that second and third level, not necessarily against the run stopping it.
Yeah.
So that might be something that would be a concern to Kansas City. And if you want to make Patrick Mahomes ineffective, you keep him off the field, you run the ball.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. That's smash mouth, old school football. Titans winning 2 playoff games because of it, and they got a puncher's chance to go all the way. Peter Panessy thinks that. So do I. Peter writes at NinerNoise.com, covering the 49ers. Real quick, Peter, before I let you go, I'm really thankful for your time. Can you tell my audience about Niner Noise and some of the pieces you're working on?
Yeah, so NinerNoise.com, it's part of the FanSided Network. Cover a bit of everything, not just sports, not just football, but entertainment, food, celebrities, but sports is where it's at. The NFL division's been fantastic, growing more and more. So Niner Noise is part of that, and pretty much everything is going to be going up until this weekend's game. If you want to know about the different matchups to watch, the mismatches, the players to keep an eye on in the game, what do you think the X factors will be, how the 49ers slow down Aaron Rodgers, what the Packers might do to the 49ers. That's going to be the type of stuff that's going to be rolling out all this week. And then during the game, of course, one of the fun things that we like to do is have a live game thread where we encourage all fans to hop in the comment section. A bunch of our writers and contributors are in there chatting it up. What do you see during the game? What did you notice there? This person's playing well. This guy's not. You can talk about all of that, and we really enjoy actually engaging with our readers a lot that way.
That's Peter Panessy, NinerNoise.com. Check that site out if you want comprehensive Niner news this week. Peter, really appreciate your time, man, and have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right, Peter Panessy, NinerNoise.com. Wrapping up the show next, I want to put Kansas City's comeback into perspective. I want to talk Ducks. Big news on both sides of the ball today. And who's winning the Super Bowl? I've got thoughts. I'll share them next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580, The Game.
Every year, millions of Americans are exposed to a contagious virus.
It's not a disease.
But it's toxic.
It's not genetic.
But we're all at risk.
You can contract it from a stranger or a friend.
You can catch it at the movies.
Or by listening to a song.
And if you spent even a minute on the internet,
you've definitely been exposed.
What is this virus? It's stigma.
Stigma.
It's stigma.
Stigma may not directly affect you,
but it harms the 1 in 5 Americans living with mental health conditions.
Stigma promotes an environment of shame,
fear, and silence,
which prevents millions of people from seeking help.
Stigma isn't just harmful. You also risk coming across as a real jerk.
But there's good news.
The National Alliance on Mental Illness believes stigma towards mental illness is 100% curable.
And it's pretty easy to find out if you have it.
So do yourself and everyone a favor.
Go to curestigma.org and get tested for stigma.
Pharrell pulls no punches.
Brady, is he coming back? Because I have a feeling he is. It's simple for me. I think Kraft loves him too much. I think Belichick has all the power in the world except when it comes to that guy. They're not winning it again with him being an old man. I'm telling you, if you can beat him in Gillette now, then anyone can beat him. And they lost all the division leaders, too. That team's not winning a Super Bowl anymore.
Weeknights at 7 on 96.1 580, The Game.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
My reason why is community.
My reason why is leadership.
My reason why is to inspire others.
Why do thousands of teenagers here in Oregon participate in high school sports and activities?
My reason why is friendship.
Their reasons are as diverse as the students themselves. But the one thing they all share is the opportunity to have fun and learn important life lessons. Lessons like supporting their community, learning how to be a leader, and building lifelong friendships.
My reason why is defying expectations.
Is there a grade school or middle school student in your family? Then encourage them to participate in a sport or activity when they go to high school.
My reason why is to make a change in the world.
This message presented by the NFHS and the Oregon School Activities Association.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Hey, don't look now, but the same idiot that said the Ravens would blow out the Titans and the Seahawks would obviously upset the Packers also told you that Clemson would be better than LSU, would shut them down offensively, would be more experienced, had the edge in quarterback, had the edge in coach. Right now, this idiot's looking pretty smart. 6 minutes in the first quarter, Clemson just marched down the field, touchdown to the other Tigers, the Clemson Tigers, 7-zip, the 3 seed. How about that? Anyway, I'll give some more thoughts on that game wrapping up tonight. It's still early, college football playoff national title game. Also want to look at Kansas City's comeback win and want to talk Ducks because you reload on defense. You add 4 returning guys who all would have been NFL draft picks had they left. Faliu and Jordan Scott, a.k.a. Fat Mac, and Diamador Lenore, one shutdown corner. Thomas Graham, another shutdown corner. You're loaded on defense now. And I don't think the Ducks will hire a coordinator today for offense. But I think tomorrow that's going to be the conversation. It's either going to be a young guy up and coming like a Will Hall, Tulane, look him up, great year this year, or you go grab a fired head coach with a solid resume, not sterling resume, not exceptional, but good, has enough, does what he needs, Joe Moorhead. Or you go take a wild swing on a guy in the NFL, Jedd Fisch. And I just want to spend a minute. If Jedd Fisch is the guy, my buddy at Scoop Duck, Justin Hopkins, he has laid this case for 2 weeks. I'm going to piggyback on his great work. If Jedd Fisch is the guy, don't be surprised and don't discredit him. He is an unknown. He was an analyst for the Rams, not an OC. But he's learned a lot. He has studied under a brilliant offensive mind in Sean McVay, and I think there is a very strong level of respect for what those Rams do. Mario Cristobal wants a play caller who values play action. They run play action better than anybody in the world, the Rams. That's what Sean McVay does. That's what Jared Goff runs every single play. That's their bread and butter. They run the football, and then they throw play action. Jedd Fisch can bring that to Oregon. The other huge home run part, if Jedd Fisch is the guy, is the Rams load up on one personnel grouping. 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 back. That is their bread and butter. They love to show the same thing and then trick you. You think the same play is coming? Whoops. Here's 18 other plays that they can run off of one look. That's the Rams. And I think that's what the Ducks want to be with the pistol and with the read option and the RPO game. You want every play to look identical. You want the same personnel to physically dominate your opposition and then destroy them with an ace up your sleeve. That's what the Rams do. That's what Mario Cristobal wants to bring to Oregon. And I've spoken to Mario before. And I remember Mario Cristobal saying on the podcast I do with Justin Hopkins, he's visited the Rams in the offseason. He really likes what the Rams are doing. I've spoken with Aaron Feld, Duck's strength coach, on that same podcast. I know verbatim Aaron Feld told me in the offseason he was going to L.A. watching Rams practices. I believe there is a strong respect for that Rams program. I believe the Ducks are very strongly considering taking Jedd Fisch from that program, transplanting him to Eugene, and giving him the reins of that offense. And if that happens, don't be surprised. 541-630-4792. If that's the hire, I know it's out of left field. I know he's an unknown. That's a home run hire. 541-630-4792. I want your thoughts. I think we're going to talk about that tomorrow. I think I'm not an expert. I'm not plugged in like my buddy Justin Hopkins at Scoop Duck or friend of the station Matt Preem at 24/7 or AJ Jacobson from Rivals, Duck Sports Authority, who has been on the show countless times. Those guys are plugged in. Those guys have coaches on the ready. They've got contacts in the organization on the ready, all that. I'm not like that. But I just have a hunch tomorrow's the day, and Jedd Fisch is the guy. 541-630-4792. What do you think about all that? We'll talk about that tomorrow. And national title game. There's a college football playoff national championship game going on right now. LSU up a touchdown on Clemson, 5 minutes in the first. And the Tigers have third and long. LSU's offense has a third and long, just outside of field goal range. I kind of thought the game would go like this. I thought Clemson's experience would give them the edge. So far, that's what we're seeing. The other thing that had me lean towards Clemson was something that we saw yesterday. The Chiefs were down 24-0. The crowd was out of it. Andy Reid looked befuddled. Mahomes was out of it. And then they rattle off 1 billion points. Because that field goal, that 24-0 deficit, that was a wake-up call. And sometimes a good team, when they get that wake-up call, they're unstoppable. Forget that the Chiefs trailed 24-0. I think they get up 24-0 this next Sunday. I think they are the overwhelming Super Bowl favorites. I'll explain a little more in a minute. The wake-up call changed everything for the Chiefs. Clemson got a wake-up call last week. They trail Ohio State big at halftime. They adjust. They come back. They win that game. And now against LSU, their ears are pinned back. They are focused. They got their eyes on the prize. They are alert. They are going to win this game. That wake-up call meant everything. What do you think? How do you feel watching this playoff? Text me. Share me your picks right now. It's still early. I will not judge you if you share a prediction right now. 541-630-4792. And I will talk about it tomorrow on the show. I have said for a month, I think Clemson wins. Clemson has the lead right now. I'm sticking to it. Clemson over LSU. Am I right? Am I wrong? We'll break that down tomorrow. Wrapping up, one last thing. There are 4 NFL teams left. Chiefs, Titans, Packers, Niners. I think San Francisco wins. I think they party hard on Sunday. They go to the Super Bowl. I think they meet Kansas City. Can they stop Derrick Henry? That is a mystery. I cannot say yes or no. I will not go out on a limb there. Maybe they don't stop Derrick Henry. Maybe the Titans run like hell and go crazy. If that happens, I'm glad to be wrong. I'll be another idiot another week in a row. But the Chiefs are too loaded. Too many weapons. Great coaching, great quarterback, receiving core, running game. They got everything. Even if they can't stop Derrick Henry, I think they outscore him. I like the Chiefs in a shootout, and I think they get it done. Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sticking to it. We'll talk about it tomorrow right here, Southern Oregon Sports Talk.